I know you're all awake. So, uh, my name is Hunter Voigt. I'm a member of the Lebanon County 4-H Livestock Club, and today I will be giving a presentation on poisonous plants of Pennsylvania. Now we ask that you all hold your questions to the end, which is normal for me. Just a little background information on me and my family. I show cattle and swine here at the fair, and we have a herd of approximately 10 black Angus cattle at home. Let's get started. So, first going to talk about poisonous plants. Obviously, we're going to introduce you to what they are. We're going to talk about different injuries that they cause, what photosensitivity means, and what they can do to you and when they are taken internally. Not only in animals, but also in us. So, what are poisonous plants? Well, poisonous plants means a wide variety of plants that cause any type of physical injury, or if it's caused internally, or in some cases, the chemicals will cause a reaction to light, which I will discuss later on throughout the presentation. So, we're going to start off today with physical injury. I'm sure you've all seen these plants before. Most of the time they are ignored, but we must take them into consideration. So the first one we have up here is the common mullein. You've all seen this when we were kids. I used to run around the field. I used to pick it up, and I love the fuzzy ears, but those little fuzzy hairs, if they are taken internally and swallowed, they can cause a lot of irritation in the throat. Next, we have the horse nettle. These, which you see right here, it kind of looks like a mini thistle. You ever see a thistle plant? They grow about this tall, but this one can turn very dangerous if swallowed. It can really scratch up the throat again. And lastly, the copperbird, which has spiny seeds on top of it. And a lot of times, if you guys have a dog, or if you ever go hunting, you get those little burrs on your clothing, or your dog comes in and has them all. Very annoying, and it can be a pain, but if you swallow it, again, you can scratch the throat. So, photosensitivity. This one is caused by the St. John's wort. We're going to take a little bit of time to go through this, all right? It's very, very confusing, but I think we'll all get to know it right here. Photosensitivity means when that plant is eaten, all right, it's taken internally. It takes a couple hours to react, but what happens is those chemicals from that plant go coursing through the animal's body, all right? So then, when that animal is out in light, say it's a pig, they don't have much hair. It reacts better with no pigment at all. So when it reacts, it'll cause a lot of inflammatory reactions, similar to sunburn or sun poisoning. So it's very, very crucial, and it happens in pigs a lot, or even us, which I don't think we eat much plants like this, but just saying. Okay, this scroll taste. I'm sure we've all heard this term before, and we've seen these poisonous plants. They're not really poisonous. They're more than ever. Animals will try to stay away from them. They will not eat them. But wild onions. When I was young, I had a interesting heifer. She came in the barn one time, and the whole barn stunk like onions. It was very unbearable. And she was very interesting, but I just remember that smell. I don't think she ever ate that again, but she did come down with the runs, and she had it for herself, and I don't think she pretty much stayed away from it. But that's just an example of what can happen if it's taken early. And your ragweed, a lot of us have allergies or are allergic to that. And it does have a disagreeable taste. Yarrow and oxeye daisy, which is a common pasture flower. Moving on. Now these next couple slides here are going to talk about the big three. This is bacteria and algae, fungi, which is like mushrooms, so we'll talk about that, and vascular plants. So bacteria and algae. All right, we all know what that is. If you ever go to a pond or a fishery or any kind of estuary, it does have those little green strips of vegetation in it. All right, and whenever you get moisture, dirt, and that creates a lot of bacteria. And as we all know, too much bacteria can cause a lot of internal injury. Not only us, it can make you very, very sick. This is more predominant down in the south, but it can also happen up here. We have these long summers. For now, we're not having too much of it, but when it gets up into your mid 90s, and ponds start to dry up, get a lot of that bacteria flourishing in there because it's very, very warm, and it caused a lot of deaths because like when an animal goes to water, and there's only a pond, and it starts shrinking, and there's very little water, and they go to that pond that has a lot of bacteria. That bacteria could get inside them and it could kill them. As a result, there's been accounts of dogs dying, horses, cattle, you name it. So that's bacteria. Now this is the fungi. This is the one you really gotta watch out for. Animals, feeding in a pasture, they don't really care what they eat, as opposed to, if it's obviously right in front of their, if it's a weed that's right in front of them, they're gonna avoid it. But when they're munching on that grass, they don't say, "Oh, I'm gonna take a look at the sea and analyze it." No, they're just gonna eat it. Well, this fungus, it's produced by an alkaloid compound, and again, the south, which has a lot of humidity in it, down there way they get a lot of that rainfall, and then really rainy season, they'll produce these little black tubular substances on that seed head, and if taken internally, they can really do a lot of damage, such as growing up. In some reports, this northeastern Missouri farmer had reported that his cattle had died in July after a lot of rainfall, and he moved them into some fescue, which is tall grass, and that's where the cattle encountered this fungi, and that's what killed them. So next, we're going to talk about vascular plants. These are another deadly set. They include alkaloids, oils, and resins, and these two chemicals right here, which will, if you get too much of anything, as we all know, it can become dangerous. So, plants that have a lot of high mineral content would be the pigweed and the lamb's quarters, which again is another common two weeds that grow around here in Pennsylvania. Like I said again, most poisonings are from high nitrates, selenium, and molybdenum. And like I said before, if you get too much of anything, this can cause a lot of toxins in the blood and will cause a lot of weight loss and will mess around with the rumen if it's in a cow and cause a lot of damage in the stomach. So alkaloids. One that really gets me is boxwood tree, which we grow around here as a common shrub. I know our cattle at home, which I'll get into a little bit, but we try to keep as much as our household trees away from that fence line so they don't, be pulling off. A lot of times cattle, when they get loss of sugar, they feel the need to be grabbing those leaves down and chewing them, the shoots off of them. So when they do that, if this gets taken internally, it can cause a lot of toxicity in the stomach. Another common one that's really talked about is poison hemlock. Now you'd think that poison hemlock means a tree. Well, no, it's not really a tree. It is actually a weed. It doesn't have any sort of trunk really. It really grows up to about here, and it flowers these white buds right here. And it's very, very crucial to understand this one because this one can kill even us within about 2 hours. It's very, very, very toxic. And of course, your bleeding heart, which is a really pretty color. My mom grows them at home. but again, we keep them away from that fence line. And the yew bush, which is another common shrub. So then we have the oils and resins. These are a little bit, I would say, smaller, but ones like milkweed, which grow in our pasture a lot. If anything, we always spray our pastures for milkweed every year. Our cattle usually avoid it, but again, there's always that random chance that hey, you might have cow having, or even a lamb having problems out there, and you see milkweed out there, you're thinking you gotta be thinking that maybe you should have sprayed it, but rhododendron, which is mountain laurel, it's a common Pennsylvania plant that grows up in the mountains, and land quarters, which is right up there. Okay, so now we have glycosides and prussic acids. Hydrangea is a common plant that my mom grows again. And we're going to spend some time on the black cherry. Alright, black cherry. It's a very interesting plant. It's a very interesting tree. If the cows go up, like I said earlier, when they get that loss of sugar and mineral content, they're going to be stripping down the shoots. It is all right if they do that when it's growing. However, if you have a really bad hurricane and it knocks those branches down and they dry up because they're not connected to the sapwood anymore, they start to get very, very toxic, produce compounds within the leaves, and it's all part of that drying process, which produces those toxics. And then when the cows, if they do decide to eat them, they become very, very, very harmful. And a lot of breeding staggering. It has a lot of hallucinogenic effects on the body. So, and collapsing or sudden death may be a result, as well as your corn cockle and your. So, management. Well, my dad's a county agent, and what he would say is you really gotta go out, take a walk, see what's growing out there. He recommended probably spraying a lot. If you go to him and after this and ask him. But really, you gotta really cut down and keep those weed levels at a minimum, if at all possible. Remove cherry or yew bushes from the fence line. It's not really much of a problem, but it can become a threat really, really quickly if such disasters happen. So what we talked about today, and hopefully you guys learned a lot about poisonous plants, what they can do, different types of chemicals that cause them, and we're gonna wrap it up today and say how they were poisonous to not only us but to our animals as well. Very, very crucial. All right. Question.